Greetings fellow global citizens. On February 13, 1913, the 13th Dalai Lama issued a declaration of Tibetan independence, after the expelling of Chinese troops from areas of eastern Tibet. That rightful national freedom was murderously violated, when in 1950, China invaded Tibet. Since that time, Tibetans have been under the terrorism of Chinese occupation. The degree and extent of suffering, loss, torture and violent denial of human rights, has been justly described as a cultural genocide, a process which continues today, in which Tibetans are denied their national and cultural identity. Tibet's language is being eradicated, children taught only Chinese, indoctrinated to regard themselves as Chinese, programmed to be loyal followers of dictator Xi Jinping. Meanwhile, the natural resources of Tibet, its water, forests and rare metals, are being ruthlessly exploited, inflicting widespread pollution to the once pristine environment. But you won't hear much about this from mainstream media, or government. For decades, a policy of profiting from China has dominated foreign policy. This has resulted in an appeasement, along with a cold, deliberate and silent response to the situation inside occupied Tibet. It's fair to say that ethics are not a constituent of policy towards China. Sure, there's posture, hand-wringing and platitudes on human rights, but the drive to commercially engage with China is relentless, no matter the atrocities. Take the case of Thermo-Fisher Scientific, a U.S. corporation, which is deeply embedded within China. They've been complicit in the mass, forced testing and DNA sampling of Tibetans by the Chinese regime. Ask yourself, why would a ruthless, totalitarian authority, which has imposed mass surveillance and digitized control of every Tibetan, want to compile a genetic database of Tibet's population? This question has not bothered Mark Nolan Casper, head of Thermo-Fisher, as his company profited from selling DNA sampling kits and related equipment to China. His focus is not on the plight of Tibetans, but how much can be made from trade collaborations with China's terrorist authority. After all, he's the head of the U.S.-China Business Council, having connections with the Chinese Zhonglu Group, and recently opening a project in Hainan. It's clear that neither Casper, or his company, give a damn about the abuse and misery of Tibet's people. Well, Anonymous does care. To mark this year's Tibetan Independence Day, on February 13th, Operation Tibet will be launching a number of actions in support of Tibet's just goal of national freedom. We are Anonymous, we are Legion, expect us.